Oh my god. Hi. Happy July. It's Disability Pride Month. So we're going over some books that represent different disabilities, and we're going to talk about the history of disability pride, which obviously is different than LGBTQIA pride. And apparently that had to be said on the Disability Pride's website. So what are y'all doing? Also, please don't mind my hair. She has a mind of her own today. We're just going to let her be. This is what she wanted to do. This is who she wanted to be today. Disability Pride is celebrated in July because it's celebrating the anniversary of the ADA, which is the Americans with Disabilities Act, and it pushes for full inclusion in everyday life. Mostly it is to celebrate community and disability identity. Most people in America probably have some sort of disability. I can't see well. I can't even see in color. My glasses are a medical device. So everyone that you know probably has some sort of disability in their life, whether it's major and needs government assistance, help, more medical intervention, or minor, like needing glasses, having a little bit of hearing loss, not being able to see in color all the way. There's a wide range of different disabilities. Everybody's going to have one eventually. Minimum 1 in 4 people have a disability. The ADA has only been around since the 90s. The first Disability Pride took place in Boston in 1990, and the first Disability Pride Parade happened in Chicago in 2004. It's important to celebrate Disability Pride because so many people still suffer from ableism and barriers in being included in every sphere. Ableism restricts access to education, jobs, healthcare, and even the most basic forms of human respect. Disability Pride is about being accepted as you are and on your own terms. It means disability isn't something to fix, but just part of who we are. Disability Pride Month also reinforces the idea of nothing about us without us. So people with disabilities need to be in the conversation when you're talking about their access to healthcare, to education, to jobs, and to community. Disability looks different for everyone. Two people with the exact same disability are going to present completely differently. Disability is part of human diversity. Disability Pride is especially important now because things like access to healthcare, to treatments, to funding for research are being severely limited, restricted, and even completely abolished. There's a huge rise in bullying, especially because of the green flag that our current administration has offered to being cruel to anyone who doesn't look like you. And there's now a resurgence of the R word, which is crazy. So let's celebrate diversity in disability with my favorite way, reading. The first book I read for Disability Pride Month, I'll Look So Hot in a Coffin, by Carla Sosinoko. This was a memoir about a woman with Klippel-Trenaunay syndrome, which means that she had legs of 2 different sizes, she had a mass on her back, and other kind of idiosyncrasies. It goes through her journey trying to hide what her body looked like underneath big clothes, and then doing a complete 180 into wearing tight, small, revealing clothes and daring people to look at her. But through it all, feeling like she still didn't measure up. She still wasn't good enough. She still wasn't the perfect person. She talks about her self-image, her mental health, her relationships with people, and how they've all kind of suffered at the hands of her disability. Even as a woman without this syndrome, it was still relatable in the way that society has pressured women to be as small as possible. It talks about her going through different kinds of diets and the Ozempic epidemic and going through all of that to try and be thinner and wanting to be smaller in your body, which is something that I'm sure all of us can relate to, is the societal pressure to be as small as possible. Even if you don't have the same disability as someone, you can still relate to their life story. Their disability doesn't define them, it's just a part of them. She goes through her journey of accepting herself and being who she is on her own terms and not letting anyone else define her or say that she's good enough or pretty enough or skinny enough or disabled enough. Overall, I really loved this book. I don't really have much else to say. It was really good and still relatable, and I could hear the humor in the author's voice as I read it. In barely 11 chapters, she goes through quite a journey dissecting her trauma with her mom, trauma with her body, trauma with men, and they're funny. Like, each title chapter is hilarious. You can't spell trauma without ma, dieting will ruin your life. So you've seen someone with an unconventional body. Now what? And there's flowcharts. Anytime a woman is funny, memoirs, they'll put in the pitch that it's irreverent. It's just a woman existing unconventionally, according to society. Anyways, that's a side tangent. Spot the assholes drinking game. Your body's not a temple, it's a party hall. What if instead of syndromes and disorders, we called them cherries on top? And the last one titled Just Swim, which is such a perfect way to wrap this up. This sentiment of just go swimming. Just put on the swimsuit and dive in. And don't let life pass you by. Don't waste your time sitting next to the pool covered up, miserable because you're not skinny enough yet in your eyes. And you never will be, because the society is always changing. And their perception of what's good enough is always going to change. So just put on the fucking bathing suit and go swimming. Next, I read A Time to Dance by Padma Venkatraman, and this is about a young woman who was a prize-winning dancer in India, and after her big win, she got in a car accident and had to have her leg amputated. And so she had to relearn how to dance with half a leg, with a prosthetic, with her confidence coming back in slow waves, with new kinds of balance, and without the support of her old dance teacher. It is written in prose, so it went super quickly. So a lot of the deep, heavy-hitting stuff that you want to spend time on, or even just the fun plot points that you want to linger with, they go by so quickly, which is always my critique of books that are written in verse like this, that aren't just poetry books. It feels always like it's missing something. I wanted more from it, as always. But overall, I really liked this one. I thought Veda's journey was really inspiring and really beautiful and really traumatic. And honestly, very much like girlhood. Her doctor that's helping her with her new prosthetic, she starts to get a little crush on. And that's such a girl move to have a crush on a much older guy that's taking care of you. It's completely normal, and it just shows how still realistic she was in losing her leg. She wasn't the perfect victim or whatever. She was still just a girl, at the end of the day. And her insecurities in her prosthetic and wanting to cover it up. And after she loses her leg, she tries to go back to her original dance company, and her teacher rejects her, saying that she will never be able to dance again like she used to, and he can't help her. And her grandmother being a huge part of her life and helping her find the correct dance teacher that's willing to accept her and work with her and believes in her. And in that company, she finds herself in a new way, and she gets to find dance in a new way. And two, her parents, before her accident, didn't always support her dance career. Her mom wanted her to be something more. And after the accident, seeing her parents shift into just being grateful that she's alive and letting her be herself. Those are just things that happen to every young child. It's something that I saw in the other book that I read for Disability Pride Month, too, of a young girl wanting to be who she wants to be, and her parents wanting her to be a doctor or an engineer, and she just wants to be a dancer. And so she gets to find herself in a new way, and she gets to accept herself and love herself, and kind of inadvertently then become a role model for other young kids that look different and are different and just want to dance. And finally, I read Breathe and Count Back from 10 by Natalia Sylvester. This is a book about a young woman, Veronica, who has hip dysplasia, and all she wants is to become a mermaid. And she lives in Florida, and there's a mermaid cove where people can put on their mermaid tails and do a little show. But her immigrant Peruvian parents do not want her to be a mermaid. They want her to be a doctor. They want so much more for her, and all she wants to do is become a mermaid. And she wants autonomy, she wants the freedom, and she just really wants to swim. And she's living in an apartment complex, and how many times can I say and? When new manager for the apartment complex moves in with her son, who is very handsome and charming, and him and Veronica maybe want to start a relationship, but Veronica's parents are insanely strict and very old-fashioned when it comes to their daughters and dating. Veronica goes in for her regular hip dysplasia checkups, and they find that something is wrong with the skin tissues, with the tissue cells in her hip, and she may need to have a hip replacement surgery sooner than expected, which is devastating for her because she doesn't want one. She wants to be the one to make the choice. Her parents seem to be the ones always making the decisions for her, and they outright tell her she cannot be a mermaid. So what, of course, does she decide to do but audition for the Mermaid Cove? And it goes on her journey of exploring her autonomy and her freedom and what's best for her, and realizing that family, while complicated, they love her Again, overall, really liked it. I feel like, as someone who also grew up with very protective parents, there were some things that her parents didn't do that surprised me, and maybe that was a cultural difference of, like, they are immigrants and they're worried about getting their immigration status corrected, and maybe they don't know how to look into your daughter's cell phone text messages. And I feel like her parents would have, but I don't know if they just didn't because they didn't know how, because as someone that was someone with overprotective parents, my mom was reading my text messages at her age. I feel like they might have, but maybe they just didn't know how. And then the pacing of this book was kind of weird. Character development was a little strange, but that's my opinion. And also I love mermaids, so it got kind of a pass from me on a lot of things. It was still a good book. Overall, our Disability Pride, I think all of these were 4 stars, give or take. One of our most successful months to date. All 3 of these, bangers. Tell me what books you read for Disability Pride, and tell me if there's a book that you think I should read for Disability Pride next year. You never know what kind of stories you're still going to relate to, even if the main character doesn't look like you in any way, shape, or form. Make sure you're celebrating Disability Pride and being inclusive and checking yourself on your ableism and listening to anyone, but especially people with a disability, when they tell you what they need, and being respectful. It's like sometimes the most obvious thing is the answer. So keep loving, keep being empathetic, keep being respectful, read something fun and unique and diverse, and yeah. August does not have a like monthly heritage kind of thing, so we won't do a monthly month until September, which is Suicide Prevention Month and also Hispanic Heritage Month. Starts in the middle of September. With August being our 1-year anniversary of the Crow Club, we're going to be doing a 24-hour readathon. So that will be like our monthly celebration of us. So happy to have you here. I can't believe it's already been a year. That's crazy. Keep reading. Stay empathetic. Get us out of this fucking literacy crisis. Please, oh my god, if you haven't read a book yet this year, pick one up. This little YA, easy peasy. This written in verse, easy peasies. This was like less than 200 pages, barely more than 200 pages. Fun, funny, cute little memoir. Read something fun, read something diverse. It doesn't have to be serious for it to count. You can read whatever you want. Who cares? Just be cool. Okay? I love you. Bye.